Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to take a look at a new expansion for Everdale, and this is going to be Everdell Newleaf. In this expansion, designed by James A. Wilson and published by Starling Games, you will have a train coming to Everdale, and this train is going to give you new opportunities to get critters and buildings into your city. It's also going to give you new goals to go for and gain lots of points at the end of the game. Let's go ahead down to the table. I'm going to show you what comes with this expansion, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to give you my thoughts on this expansion. Okay, so this is all you get with the Everdell Newleaf expansion. You get a lot of stuff with this game. You're going to get 32 visitor cards. You're going to get 9 special event cards. You're going to get 18 golden occupy tokens. You're going to get these 18 train tokens. You're going to get 6 reservation tokens. You're going to get 4 new player pieces, and that's going to be snails, cats, bees, and bats. And you'll get the rabbit and ambassador frog with frog ambassador, I'm sorry, with each of these. You will also get a giant deck of 59 critters and construction cards. You'll get 3 new forest cards that you can put into the game. You're going to get 2 new basic event spaces that you can place on the board. You're going to get those asymmetric powers that were in Belfair for each of these 4 different critters, which we'll go over in a second. And you're going to get this really cool player board and this really nice velvet bag to place these train tiles in. All right, so let's go over all the different things that you're going to get with this game. Let's go ahead and do the simple one that you could just add into any game. And the first one's going to be these new critters that are available. Now, if you have the Belfair expansion here, you can use these cards in here, and they're really cool. So the honeybees are networkers. Whenever you play a non-green critter or construction, you may discard 1 card to activate a production in your city, which is really cool. You may not use this ability when you're in autumn. Okay, so you need to use this before the end of the game here. Cats. Cats are bossy. Yes, they are. You may send a worker to any basic location, forest location, or one of these special locations or the cards that you build already occupied by an opponent. Really cool. Snails, steady. During setup, draw 7 cards and place them in the place them face down in a stack beside your board. When an opponent plays a production, you may give them one of those cards from the stack to also activate production for yourself, which is pretty darn cool. Bats are archivists. When you play a card, you may take 1 card from the meadow and place it face down in a stack by your city. You may play any of these cards from the stack as though they were in your hand, the meadow, or the station. So this really means that you have a higher hand limit with bats, which is really, really cool. So that's, you can add on, especially if you have the Belfair expansion, you can add those asymmetric powers for all of these 4 critters in the game. And you can mix these critters in, doesn't matter, with or without these powers. So that's that. You also get these new forest locations in there, and you can mix those in, and those can go out like normal in their forest location. Same with these events. So those are those. These basic events, you can decide whether you want to place these in the game, and they're just pretty simple. They don't have anything to do really with this expansion itself, so you can do it with or without it. This one here, if you have 3 of these end game scoring type cards, you can claim this one. And this is if you finish your 15 card tableau city, you can claim this to gain 5 points. That's all those are. All right, so moving on, you could also use this bonus module that you don't have to use with the normal game here in your normal games of Everdell. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. What these simply are is you get to place this reservation token on one of the cards out in the meadow, or if you're playing with the expansion, the train station, which I'll show you in a second. And you basically, as an action, will claim that, and you'll put it in your area. but you don't get to play it yet. You, as additional action in the future, you can build that for one last resource. Once you've done that, you'll flip this token over to the other side to show that you've used this. This token will flip back when you go between seasons. If you go between seasons and you have a reservation token already on a card, that's okay. You can discard that card if you want and have that reservation token available again to you. So that's reservation tokens. The other thing is technically these tickets don't need to be used. It's a module with the expansion. This could be used with the base game. Simply what these are is that 2 times in the game you can flip this to move one of your already placed workers to a new location. Once you do that once, see here's flip when used, says flip it again, and if you use it a second time you discard the ticket. So if you want that in your game, you can add that in. You don't really have to use the Newleaf expansion for that. Okay, so oh yeah, one last thing before we go. This entire deck of cards here can be shuffled in the base game and used without the expansion, with the exception of these 2 locomotive cards. These 2 locomotive cards have to be used with the Newleaf expansion. If you're not using it, you would just remove them, but the rest of these cards can remain in the deck. And I could show you, I'm going to show you some cool stuff with those cards in a second, but let's go over and show you what actually this Newleaf expansion changes the gameplay up. You're going to take all these train tokens, you're going to put this in this new cool velvet bag. You'll shuffle them up, and we're going to use that to set up your board. The board here, the new board, is going to go on the side of your Everdale board. It'll fit perfectly in there on the right side. And you're going to have 2 new spaces to go to. To set up these spaces, you're going to place 3 of these train tokens out on here and then put the bag off to the side here so you could use it to refill those. You're going to take 3 cards from your deck and you're going to place them in this area for the train station. Finally, you're going to take these visitors, you're going to shuffle them up, split it in half, place 1 stack here, place 1 stack there. And to finalize setup, you're going to decide whether you want to use the reservation module or the tickets. If you do, give 1 ticket out to each player, give 1 reservation to each player. If you're putting these basic events out, place them on the board. And you'll give 3 of these golden leaf tokens to each player. Now, if you've played Far Shore, these work similar to the anchors. So that's a little foreshadowing on how these are going to work. And that's it. That is the additional setup for Everdell Newleaf. So it's not a whole lot of stuff. And it's not a lot more stuff to explain. You're going to be explaining those reservation tiles if you use them, and you're going to be explaining those tickets if you use them. That's going to be very important. But the main thing you're going to be explaining is going to be these golden leaf tokens and these 2 new locations on the board. So this first location here, you can place only 1 of your workers, but any other player can place a worker there too. And same with up here. So you can only have 1 of your workers on each of these locations, but they're open to all the players. On this one here, you're going to discard 3 cards from the meadow or station, and then you'll replenish it. After that, you're going to draw 3 cards and gain 1 of the resources on the train tile. So I'll say I'll gain this, I'll gain a resin. Then I'll pull from the bag and replace that. This region up here, I can discard 1 of the visitors from here, flip it, face it, place it here, and then pick 1 up. Well, why do I want the visitors? Because these visitors give you a ton of points. These visitors here, let's see if we can, yep. These visitors here, if I complete this of at least 2 workers on a journey, I gain 6 points at the end of the game. Now, if I don't complete this, I don't lose any points, but these are a giant source of points, so they can really sway your game. Those are the 2 worker placement places that you'll need to explain in the game. If you use, some of these show up, these are super explanatory. This is like 2 resin, or 2 sticks, 1 resin, 4 twigs. This gives you a copy of forest location. So these are really simple. So those aren't really explaining anything new on there, but these golden leaf tokens are new. And what these Golden Leaf tokens do is they let you play a card for free. Up to 3 times in a game. That's all. You don't get any more of these, and you can't get them back even if you destroy the building or critter that you use to put it out. Now with these, if you have a critter in your tableau, this will state that you can play any of these scroll buildings here and place this token on here to show that you've done that and you can build that building. Now on the reverse side, if I have a building here and it has this leaf token here, this means that I can build any unique building and I put the token on there, or any unique critter, sorry. And here's another building, any common, and some of them have specific type, like have a reduction or whatnot. But basically what those are is in Everdale, if you're normally trying to chain cards to play free cards. So you'll try to look for the critter that belongs to that house and you'll get to play that critter for free. With these Golden Leaf tokens, it doesn't really matter. As long as they meet whatever type is on that card or whatever it says on that card for the prerequisite to play that free card, you can, and you'll use a golden token. Once you've used all 3 of your golden tokens, you're done. So basically the golden tokens give you the ability to have 3 free cards played a game. So that's really cool. So in a quick nutshell, that is it. That is what you get with Everdell Newleaf. You get a lot of stuff with this game. This is a huge amount of quantity of cards and cool new critters and all sorts of fun stuff. Let's go ahead back up to the table here and I'll give you my final thoughts on this. So Everdell Newleaf is a great expansion for Everdale. They're just not even playing with the expansion, it gives you a ton of new cards to mix in to the base game to play. That is amazing. I love the 3 tokens, gold tokens that you can use to play basically critters or buildings for free throughout the game. I like that option. I love how they did it with Everdell Far Shore with the anchors, and I like how this is the expansion that did it before that came out. So that, playing with those cards, you could always have those 3 tokens available to the players. So you don't have to play Newleaf to have that mechanism in your base game, which I think is really, really cool. In addition, you can use the reservation tokens anytime you want. So you could have the reservation tokens in with the base game without using the Newleaf expansion. Also really cool. Same with all the new critter so you could pick from to play during the game. And if you're going to use the Belfair expansion, you can use those critters' asymmetric powers and you just don't have to play the Newleaf. If you're going to play the Newleaf, you're going to be using that board, you're going to put out the train tokens, and you're going to get those gold cards that you can get throughout the game, which is really, really cool. Also, the tickets really only make sense with this expansion, but technically they don't have to be used with this expansion. They can be used with any expansion. It's just twice a game you get to move an already placed worker. Pretty cool. I like that too. The expansion itself, don't have to teach much more in there, just basically talk about the 2 extra spaces. And it gives a new strategy in picking up those cards for the trains to get those resources, or trying to meet those goals to get those points at the end of the game, which can be significant. And a nice alternative to the events, going for those tokens out on the board too. So I really like that. It sort of adds a new little wrinkle strategy to the game and adds more variability in how you can strategize your win in the game, which I really appreciate. So overall, amazing expansion for Everdale. I think this is one of the better ones. Not that any of them are bad, I liked all of them. But this one here is just really simple. It really focuses on just adding the good stuff to the game. Doesn't overcomplicate anything. If I have someone new to the game, I feel fairly confident that I could just teach this expansion with it with very little additional time, maybe 1 minute, because teaching those event spots just in general that you can go to place your workers, it puts you right into that. So I like it for that a lot. I like it for the fact that it's simple. It just adds more of the fun stuff to the game. Really good expansion for that. I would highly recommend this one. I think it's one of the best ones. It has a little bit more in the back to add to the solo mode to the game too, so it will work with the solo mode in the game. But yeah, in general, just overall, just a really good expansion for the good stuff. And that's my thoughts on Everdell Newleaf. Thank you for watching.